Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Stag Studio. I have a really important guest on this week, so I'm just going to let them introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, I am Luana. I'm a Surrey graduate and I currently work in your Students' Union representing you as your Vice President voice.
So, right now, as we're recording, we are just in the first, official week of uni. Freshers Week is behind us. There's been a lot of stuff that has happened. So how are you feeling after all of that stuff that you've been getting out to? Have you had a chance to take a break?
I feel pretty good, actually. I feel like this summer we have done a lot of planning, planned everything in advance, so it hasn't been as chaotic as it could be. And I did get lots of rest over the weekend, so I'm refreshed, ready for the new academic year.
Yes. Now, before we get to what's coming on in the academic year, for any freshers or people who might just not know who you are specifically, I wanted to take a chance to get to know who you are before the role. So what can you tell us about yourself, like who you were before the role, maybe positions of responsibility, anything like that?
Yeah, excellent. So I think maybe starting to my Surrey journey, I joined in 2020 to do an English Lit with creative writing degree. And then throughout my degree, I got involved with the Students' Union and with the university in multiple different roles. It all started when I got persuaded to become a course rep in my second year. And then after that, I got involved as well as a voice-on officer. So I ran in our annual elections. I really enjoyed these roles. And then I also decided to get involved with societies. I'm very passionate about Disney, so I became wellbeing champion for Disney Society. And later on, I got elected president as well. I also got involved with the Stag magazine as treasurer in my placement year. So I went to Germany for my placement year, and while I was abroad, somehow I managed to do all of these things and contribute to the community. In any case, after final year, I decided that I just love Surrey so much and I love representing students. So I decided to run in our annual elections again and basically got myself a job as Vice President Voice, which I conducted from 24-25. And then I got elected again for 25-26. So here I am.
Nice. Incredible. So you've been sinking your teeth into a lot of different things. I have to ask as well, did you, because you did creative writing, and the name of your course?
English literature, creative writing, yeah.
English literature and creative writing. So did you ever write any essays of anything Disney related specifically? I have to ask, were you able to meld those two things together?
I actually love this question, and yes, I did. Actually, for my dissertation, I wrote a 10,000 word essay, basically, doing an analysis of how the conceptions of femininity in Disney movies have changed over the past 30 years. So that was a very exciting project to work on and research.
That's really, really cool. Oh, that's really interesting, because that's I remember Disney has these sort of requirements for who counts as a Disney princess, and I've seen some people talking about how that sort of related to how people viewed femininity at the time that was made. And then I think, if I remember correctly, Mulan is because you could be marry into royalty or be born into royalty or have an act of bravery or something. And I think Mulan was the only person at the time who had broken into that because she was so cool as a character that she didn't marry into royalty and she wasn't born into royalty, but Disney were we have to make her a princess, so they just gave her the other category, and that was when the other Disney princesses also in that same category started coming through.
Absolutely. Yeah, so actually Mulan was one of the texts I look at. So I looked at Mulan, and then I picked Raya and the Last Dragon, so I did a comparison between them because they're very similar movies if you really look into it. It's very interesting to see how those conceptions have changed between them. It's really interesting,
because those movies are still how many years are there between those movies as well? Because
23, I think, something like that, which is quite crazy. Right?
But that's really, really cool. It's nice as well that you're able to sort of flex that creative muscle, as well as being able to show your love of Disney, and also be able to take a more introspective and surgical approach to analyzing everything. But I think it's cool. But so from all of that to then being with Stag magazine as well, you've already taken on these positions of responsibility as well. Was there ever a time where you thought you were maybe biting off more than you can chew, like when it comes to all the stuff?
100%. There's been quite a few moments where I did wonder if maybe I took on too much, but I am a fully dedicated person, so I commit 100% to everything I do. I think doing lots of things during placements was actually really good, because when you are on placement, you're, in this case, study abroad. So I was not working full time. I was just studying. And I didn't have to worry so much about my grades. So I could focus on those other commitments while still doing my degree. I think if I had to give any advice to someone who wants to get involved in all of those different ways, I think is really organizing yourself, looking at your calendar, and really thinking about what's most important and how much you can actually commit to it, to ensure that you're not, like I said, biting off more than you can chew, and also that you're not half committing to something.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to pace yourself. But if you do a course like English Lit, to be honest, it's quite, we don't have too many contact hours, and a lot of the work is independent study, like reading, which you can do in your own time. So that does leave you with some free time during the week to do other things as well.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's good. Because, like, again, you have a lot of commitments to different things, especially in the union. I actually wanted to talk about the sign we've got next to you, because you were doing drop-ins just earlier today, right? Like, so what exactly is like the drop-ins? Is that like where people just talk to a member of the union just like one-on-one, or?
Yeah, so I got inspired by the university because lots of different university teams do drop-ins. We don't really do them very often, so I wanted to give it a try. But basically, because this week we have the course rep elections are starting, and we also are recruiting for some student leaders in our student networks. So I wanted to make sure that anyone who had any questions had this opportunity to just come and meet me in person and ask those questions if they wanted to.
Yeah, that's really nice to see the members of the union, because they all have like busy schedules as is, and it's like I saw that a lot with Liam last year, which is like, even though he had a busy schedule, he'd try and make time for everything else and other people, and be able to talk one-on-one. I mean, even like now, it's like a very important thing. Like the accessibility of the union is massive, especially when you can learn about some of the upcoming things that are happening. Like I know the VP Voice of the union itself has a lot of plans for things in October, which I wanted to take maybe a minute to talk about, because around the time this uploads, it should be around that time. So Black History Month is going to be happening in October, and then I think the Voice will also get involved with the LGBTQ History Month in February, and there's going to be loads of things that are up and coming. I just wanted to take a chance to talk about anything that you're excited.
Yeah, of course. So for some context of this, basically this year especially, we are condensing and officializing that we have what we call the awareness campaigns, which are like the EDI campaigns, like Black History Month, LGBTQ Month. We also have Disability Month in November, and quite a few others. So I'm the lead on it, and my plan is to basically reach out to all of our union people, and also, student societies, student volunteers, make sure that everyone has a chance to get involved if they want. All of this is also led by our student networks, which for Black History Month is a bit tricky because our student leaders don't come in until early October, so it's a bit, they kind of come in the middle of it, so we have to plan it before. In any case, Black History Month is going to be very exciting in October. We've got a great schedule of events, and for the other campaigns as well, we're starting to plan. If any students or anyone wants to get involved, they can just reach out to me, and we do have a working group in the union that we meet quite regularly to chat through it. So
yeah. When you say reach out to you, what is the best place to do that? Is like Instagram or email, or for anyone who doesn't know?
I'm happy either way, honestly. I think usually I'd probably be quicker on Instagram just because my inbox gets quite full, but I'm happy either way.
Okay, cool. So the other thing that I wanted to take a second to talk about is Speak Week is coming up, because I know Voice gets really involved with that. So I've been at some of the meetings, but I guess I don't really know how it works on your side as well. So I'd be curious to know a little bit more about that.
Yeah, of course. And I think as well, for some context, so Speak Week was a campaign that was designed by one of the previous VP Voices, Chiara, who preceded me. And it's basically an opportunity for students to give feedback about anything that they want related to student life. You have usually basically two questions which are the same. If you're in charge of the university or the students' union, what would you change? so students can give feedback on any kind of opportunities that they think are missing or any kind of improvements that they see. And then throughout the entire week, we do events, we do some outreach in the library or the Hive, we have some cards, and we also have a form that students can reply to. And there's usually prizes, so it's usually we try to make it fun and engaging. And if anyone has any ideas of how they would like to see this go as well, just reach out.
Yeah. So, because I know they're pretty forthcoming about, it's genuinely like, what if you could change something about this or that, like what would you change? But I think it's a really important, again, for the accessibility of the union and also making sure that students feel like represented. What would you say to students who feel like it doesn't really matter what they put on the ballots? I think there's this sort of a tendency to think that it doesn't really matter because nothing is ever really going to change with the university. Like, it's just sort of like throwing your cast into the void.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's literally, that's kind of on us as a students' union and as the university. And I've had some conversation about this. We are very good at gathering student feedback. There's so many ways that we gather student feedback, but we're not so great at telling students what we actually do with the feedback, because the feedback really matters and change really comes from it. So this year for Speak Week, before Speak Week, we're going to be doing some like student voice highlights, sharing kind of like changes that were made to different services based on student feedback from Speak Week or other campaigns as well. So this is something that I want to really hone and have like a regular something on my Instagram and as news stories as well, sharing with students the kind of changes and the kind of wins that we are achieving on their behalf after the feedback. So
I genuinely think that's a really good idea. I've noticed with just like social media stuff, I'm horrible at doing stuff on social media and like being active on it. But I've noticed that you are like posting like virtually every day, and it's really good just to see what's kind of going on and what's happening. But it would be really nice as well for new students or like students who've maybe I don't know what the word is, like disillusioned with the ability of like their voice to change anything, to see the sort of like tangible changes that are happening around the university that like students have willed into existence through the VP voice, like the voice zone in general.
Absolutely. And I want to highlight how your voices are so important and you have so much power through us to make change. Like I go to big university meetings with senior university staff and like I give them, for example, the Speak Week Insight report and I tell them this is what students are saying, this is what students want to change. And then there have been lots of changes in the past few years, which we'll be sharing later in the website as news stories, so you can see that.
Interesting. Wait, an insight report, how big is that as like a document? Like how much on average, like how much information do you actually collate from students? Because there's so much.
Yeah, so for Speak Week itself, which is one of the challenges we have as well, because we get a lot of data. So last year, in total, I think we gathered about 1,600 change suggestions from students. So as you can imagine, we have to categorize those and then write a report based on it. So it does take quite a while, and resources are always a bit limited. So that's why sometimes we take our time to properly write that and then share that. But all the information will be made available on the Students' Union website. We have on the tab Your Voice, we have a Speak Week tab, which is going to have all the details about the events coming up, but also it's going to have the previous insight reports so that students can see like what previous students said, and then we'll be sharing as well what was done based on what you said.
That would be really cool, just to again have a record of the voices that were like raised throughout the years. That would be really cool. I was just been thinking about what I said earlier about people's perceptions on the union. Did you notice your own perception of the union changing? Like for instance, like first year or like whenever you join the university, and then being on the other side of it, being like so integrated with the union. Have you noticed sort of any misconceptions you had changing, or any preconceptions you had, and how you navigated that? I'd be really curious.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as you're a part-time officer now, you hopefully will notice that as well. It's very different seeing it as an average student, but then being on the inside and actually understanding why decisions are made, why things are done the way they are, and how really thin the resources are spread, both in the union and even in the university. As VP Voice, I am involved in very difficult conversations and very big things happening around the university, which you'll be seeing this year, for example, regarding attendance and also the library opening hours and things like that.
Yeah.
So you really, the difference between me as a student and me as VP Voice is very, very big, and I can actually understand those decisions a lot better. And I want to work with my student reps, for example, to kind of try to share a little bit of the behind the scenes with them so that they understand as well how those decisions are made, because the university doesn't make decisions in a vacuum. They usually consult a lot of people before they come to those decisions. So
that's the a big thing, is that what decisions aren't made in a vacuum. I think is a really big thing to bear in mind as well, because once you sort of change course, you're affecting so many other things in the process. It's like there's a web,
so true.
And everything impacts something else, but it is very difficult. One thing you mentioned about course reps as well is because I think right now, as people are sort of, especially like freshers, like getting started with their courses, I wanted to maybe elaborate a little bit more on what course reps are and how people get involved with the sort of representing their courses, etc.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for the opportunity. So basically, course reps are the one person who is going to be representing the students' academic interests. So basically, they're going to be asking students about what they think about the courses, the modules, if there's any issues they faced, and then they're going to be taking that feedback, making it into some sort of like report that they give to university staff.
Mm-hmm.
So they attend some really formal and also informal meetings with university staff where they basically say what the students think about different modules, if there's any issues, and hopefully work together to solve that. We also have head reps who are like experienced course reps, and they basically look over all of the course reps and all the student community.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very important thing. We have the elections going on now from weeks 1 to 3, and it's very important to have a course rep in every course. Otherwise, there might be issues going on that we wouldn't know about. And this year we also want to, again, on the topic of like you said, we did, like we said before, work on sharing, improve how we share what the course reps achieve on behalf of the student community, so that students have more awareness of what's actually being done and how their academic interests are being represented.
Yeah, because it's important for the whole cohort. Like, I'm sure everyone's had moments in like high school or something, like sixth form as well, where it's like you cannot be bothered with something that's going on in class, or like you wish it was done in a different way. But at least in uni, you have a little bit more of an ability to influence how that goes. This is like, it's probably easy to see, I think, year by year how like the course is being changed. But I do at least see in like my course how my module leaders and lecturers have like changed their style, how they approach things as like a result of what course representatives have like discussed, and also, you know, the MEQs and stuff at the end of the year.
Exactly. So that's another thing. For example, the module evaluation questionnaires, which you usually do at the end of the module, it's the feedback from that is used to make improvements for the module for the following year. And some of what the course reps do is exactly that. I've heard some really amazing things. So last year we had course rep of the month. So every month we would encourage people to nominate themselves or to nominate someone else based on like their achievements, which this year we are making easier by just having like a form for course rep wins. So at any point you can go say what you've done, and then once a month we'll still be picking someone to be course rep of the month per faculty. In any case, I've heard some really amazing things in terms of like, even like, for example, syllable changes, fixing exam issues or module issues, or even like, for example, I think there's even been things like reading lists and like feedback on that.
Wow. So, okay.
You know, you are empowered to make those changes. All you have to do is tell your course rep.
Yeah. I only know those. I have a sort of limited scope for like my faculty, but yeah, like changes to reading lists and things is an important thing as well. But yeah, so that's suppose like the main thing that's being hammered home is that like students have a lot more of an ability than they realize to like change and shape the experience of students as a whole. It's just sort of making it more accessible. And I think year by year I've noticed that the union, I don't know if it's just my perception is getting better, or like also I think the union is making changes to make themselves more accessible year by year. Like I'm more comfortable like reaching out on Instagram for this and that, even if it's a small problem. It's like it's worth reaching out. And they're also just like how friendly the union all are. I would talk to Matt about this. It's just like I think people tend to forget that all of the members of the union were students at one point. Like they were,
So true.
like, yeah, for freshers who were like getting lost on campus and they didn't know like what was where. And now there are this other, like the, you know, driver's seat as some of the most important zones for the union. But it's really easy to forget that they were like in your position at one point. As we sort of round out this discussion, I just wanted to ask, have you thought about maybe what you'd want to see from the union? You know, like after you leave the union, and maybe 5 years, 10 years, what is your sort of ideal union would look like, or the changes to the university, an impact or a legacy? Have you thought about anything like that?
Yeah, I'm just going to preface to say this is a bit of a touchy subject because Matt, Sam and I, we really try not to think about leaving because we just love this place so much. But as we will have to leave anyways next June, I think I would love to see some of the things that I have started being carried on and hopefully improved in. I really hope that the next Vice President voices are going to come up with new and fresh ideas, you know, new ways to support the course reps, new ways to share what the course reps achieve, new campaigns related to student voice and highlighting student voice and telling students how their voices can be powerful and how they can make change. I particularly would love to see how our student networks are going to develop, because this is a relatively new project that we kind of launched last year with 3 networks for international students, disability and neurodiversity and race equality. So I'm really hoping to see how we're going to expand that in the future and how we're going to get more students involved and just make it very student-led. So that's very exciting.
Actually, yeah, but I think this would be an important thing to mention as well, is how could people get involved with these equality networks as well? Like how, if anyone's interested, like what is it exactly and how can anyone listening get involved?
Yeah, of course. So it's very similar to some of our other like peer support services in the Students' Union. We have the information on the website about what the network are. In terms of getting involved, we usually will have like a weekly meeting for each of the networks. So technically it's a monthly meeting, but each week is a different network, where it's more of a discussion group about different things related to the topic and also campaigns like the ones I mentioned before.
Yeah.
And then students can get involved however they would like. Honestly, they can come to the meetings, they can help us to plan events, they can bring their own projects. I'm very open to how our students want to volunteer with the network and how they want to get involved. Like, for example, we had a postcard event last week, which we're hoping to repeat again. And if there's anyone who'd like to get involved with that as well, just letting me know. Basically,
yeah, that's
it's
cool. Postcard
kind
event.
We did a collaboration with International Engagement, so for a postcard coloring event, which was very successful. We actually ran out of postcards within the first 40 minutes, which was not expected at all. So it was quite exciting.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So again, there's a lot that a lot to get involved with, like both on the union side and for anyone who's willing to get involved with the networks or any of the campaigns. And there's going to be plenty of more stuff throughout the year. Like if the Instagram is anything to go by, like there's going to be like, so much stuff that's going to be more active throughout the year. So yeah, I'm for one, I'm excited to see what the union sort of has to offer the other students, and I hope you're excited as well to get involved with everything as well.
Thank you. I'm very excited to see what we're going to get up to and how we're going to work together with students and with the university to just make sure that everyone's having their best Surrey life.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Awesome. All right. And I think that about does it. So I'm just going to thank you very, very much for watching this episode of Stag Studio. I'm going to try and make sure that the details for like Luana's Instagram and the website for the Students' Union is all in the description of this video if you're curious, and any other important links, because we've talked a lot about some important stuff for the equality networks. I'll try and make sure all of that is in the description. If you have any feedback, please comment, and if you like the video, if you're so inclined, you can always do that. But all the things to get engagement and traction on the stuff is all very, very welcomed. Thank you very much, and it is over and out from Stag Studios. Thank you very much for watching.
That was so good, guys.
That was brilliant. Thank you.
Just about 25 minutes.